You ever felt like you're sort of caught in a loop, wanting to feel more confident, maybe more capable, but you just can't quite figure out how to break free?
It's a really common feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, so many of us grapple with this. And, well, what we found in our source material today is honestly like a treasure map for building that inner strength. Okay, let's dive in.
Exactly. Today we're doing a deep dive into some uh, really profound insights from Elevating Self-Worth, 12 Rules for Self-Improvement.
Right.
And our mission really is to pull out the practical, actionable wisdom to offer you not just ideas, but actual tools you can use to build that solid sense of confidence, from the inside out.
Okay, so let's kick things off with rule one. The source points to something it calls a primary culprit behind low self-worth, idle pursuit. And this isn't just about, wasting time. The Eastern philosophy angle here suggests that if most of what you do feels trivial, meaningless, you subconsciously start to believe that you are trivial, that you're meaningless. It's quite a powerful connection.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's insightful here is how meaning is defined. It's subjective, sure, but for most people, meaningful action usually involves contributing something.
Contributing how?
Well, contributing to others, maybe, or even just to your own future growth. Actions that have value beyond just, momentary pleasure.
Okay.
What's fascinating here is the emphasis on acting for a purpose that's bigger than just yourself. That creates this feeling of having a real reason for being here, beyond just surviving.
And that doesn't have to be some huge grand mission.
Not at all. That's the key. This greater purpose can be found in your daily work, your regular activities, as long as there's genuine intention behind it.
Okay, so the flip side, which the source really hammers home, is cutting back on those genuinely aimless things. Endless scrolling, hours of just passive TV.
Right, or constant gossip that doesn't really go anywhere.
Exactly. But there's a balance, isn't there? Because momentary pleasure can be okay.
It can, yeah, if it's viewed as intentional rest, like for rejuvenation, or even as a way to just be fully present in the moment.
So what does this all mean for you listening? It sounds like it's about the dosage and maybe the mindset behind it.
Precisely. It's about asking yourself, am I acting with a specific intention here? Am I doing something valuable for myself or others?
Or am I just kind of drifting, passing time aimlessly? That's a subtle but really important distinction.
It makes a world of difference to your subconscious evaluation of yourself.
Okay, building on that idea of intentional action, let's look at rule 2. Perseverance and task completion.
Ah, yes, this is crucial.
The source brings in a psychological perspective here. It says many psychologists believe that sticking with tasks, especially the hard ones, builds self-efficacy more than almost anything else. Like the example they give, committing to and actually doing regular workouts, showing up consistently, even when it's tough.
Right.
That improves self-worth because you see yourself honoring that commitment despite the difficulty. You proved something to yourself.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this applies everywhere.
Yeah.
Work, studies, any field that demands sustained, challenging effort.
Right.
What's really key here is realizing that while the final outcome matters, what we truly control is our determination along the way, our consistency.
So the effort itself is almost more important for self-worth than the result.
In many ways, yes, that consistent effort, that perseverance, has a massive impact. And of course, the opposite is also true. Giving up easily, being unwilling to push through.
That signals weakness to yourself.
Exactly. It fosters a sense of weak character, low capability. It undermines your belief in yourself.
That really highlights the importance of commitments. The source is pretty blunt here.
Right.
Regularly failing to follow through or always starting things but never finishing.
Yeah. It says that can severely damage self-worth to a point where it's hard to rebuild.
But it also warns against avoiding commitments altogether. That's just as bad.
Right. So the wisdom, according to the source, is finding that sweet spot. Take on tasks you can realistically complete.
Start small, maybe.
Yeah. Build gradually.
Yeah.
Increase that sense of capability step by step, surely. Don't overwhelm yourself into failure, but don't under-challenge yourself into stagnation either.
Okay. Rule 3 moves us into facing fear and difficulty. A big one.
Definitely universal.
The source puts it quite poetically. Every time you feel fear and act anyway, you break a boundary, you climb another step.
And similarly, every time something's difficult and you step out of that comfort zone, you give your self-worth a significant boost. Several levels, it suggests.
Wow.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Those moments when fear feels like it's about to stop you in your tracks,
Yeah.
those are also the moments with the highest potential for growth. But The source cautions, if you fail in those moments, if you let fear take over.
Then it can be a major setback.
Exactly. It's high stakes. Courage in those moments directly translates into building self-worth.
Makes sense. Okay, rule 4 is integrity.
Integrity. Internal alignment.
Yeah, the source defines it as that powerful state where your actions genuinely match your values and your words. What you do aligns with what you believe and say.
And the source is quite strong on this. It says, when someone doesn't act according to their values or worse, they say one thing publicly about what's right, but live differently.
Yes.
It basically crushes any real sense of self-worth because deep down, you know you're not being true.
But the flip side?
The flip side is powerful. When you consistently follow your inner truth, act on your values over time, even when it's hard, you become valuable in your own eyes.
And often in others' eyes too, right?
Often, yes. But the core is internal. This raises an important point for the listener. That kind of person knows their path. They know they're worthy, regardless of what happens externally or what people say. They have that inner compass.
That leads nicely into rule 5, authenticity and speaking truth.
Closely related but distinct.
Authenticity here is about being externally true to your internal world, your thoughts, your feelings, even under pressure.
Right. Not putting on a mask.
Exactly. The source contrasts this with a lack of authenticity, which, it says, often comes from low self-worth. It leads to living for others, wearing those masks, life feeling like a performance.
And what's fascinating is the courage this takes. An authentic person is willing to say how they really feel, to walk their own path, even if they face criticism or go against the grain.
Yeah.
The source makes a powerful claim. Every time you dare to express your true feelings, walk your path authentically, despite the fear.
It sends a message.
A strong message to your subconscious. I am worthy. I am confident. I don't need to pretend.
And the opposite, people-pleasing, not voicing desires.
Letting fear of rejection rule you, all of that, the source says, significantly damages self-worth. You're essentially telling yourself others' approval matters more than your own truth.
The source connects this to assertiveness, too, knowing how to stand your ground, voice opinions. But it makes the distinction.
Crucially, yeah. Assertiveness isn't aggression. It's clear, honest communication of your needs and boundaries.
Okay. And there's another part to this rule.
Yes, precision in truth-telling. This means actively avoiding lies, pretense, any kind of deception used to get ahead or protect yourself unfairly.
Why is that so bad for self-worth? Beyond the obvious ethics.
Because, as the source explains, when you hear yourself being untruthful repeatedly, you start to build this self-image of someone whose word means nothing, even to yourself.
You internalize being a liar.
Exactly. And worse, people can start believing their own lies. They feed themselves stories, excuses.
And that just holds them back from real growth.
Completely. It blocks development.
Right. Okay, Rule 6 introduces a really fundamental idea, internal locus of control and taking responsibility.
Yes, this is about where you feel the power lies in your life. Is it inside you or outside?
The source talks about that tendency some people have to feel like victims, right? Like circumstances are always beyond their control.
It gives examples like blaming money problems entirely on the country or the boss.
Or blaming lack of achievement on, say, not enough support from parents growing up.
Exactly. And the source argues that making those kinds of statements actually lowers your confidence in your own ability to influence things.
It makes you feel weak, helpless.
Precisely. People with high self-worth, in contrast, tend to take responsibility. They don't waste energy blaming or complaining.
They focus on what they can do.
Yes, they do their best to change the situation or at least how they respond to it. This brings up an important clarification.
Yeah.
It's not saying, for instance, that if a chronically ill person just takes responsibility, they'll magically be cured.
Right, that would be simplistic.
But they will focus on what they can influence, managing their condition, their mindset, their activities, and that focus likely improves their well-being and how they feel about their situation compared to just feeling like a victim of fate.
Same for things like cost of living or work issues.
Exactly. Stopping the victim talk won't magically fix everything, but the source argues it will make you more influential, more effective, and ultimately happier than someone who just complains. You focus your energy productively.
And the source links decisiveness to this, too.
It does. People with high self-worth tend to make decisions. They don't agonize for ages.
They gather info, then decide.
Right. It's presented as an act of taking responsibility for moving forward, making a choice and owning it.
Okay, shifting gears slightly with Rule 7. Goodwill and praising others.
This one counters a common trap.
Which is?
Comparison and competitiveness. The source says constantly comparing yourself to others, feeling intensely competitive, actually blocks the highest level of self-worth.
Why is that?
Because true self-worth, the source argues, has to be internal. It's a deep inner knowing, not dependent on how you measure up against someone else.
So feelings like envy.
Envy, needing to be better than others, even secretly wishing others wouldn't succeed.
Oh.
All those feelings send a message to your subconscious.
What message?
I'm not good enough as I am, or there isn't enough success to go around, so I need to beat others to it.
And the alternative?
What's truly transformative, the source suggests, is the opposite. Genuinely wishing others well, praising their successes, even if they're competitors.
That sends a different message.
A profoundly different one. I am worthy and deserving. Someone else's success doesn't diminish my value because my value isn't based on comparison.
So any kind of goodwill, joy in others' success, empathy.
Selfless consideration. These are all powerful thoughts and actions that actively build your own self-worth from a place of abundance, not scarcity.
That's a great perspective. Rule 8, then, is about avoiding harm. Seems straightforward.
On the surface, yes. It covers avoiding obvious harms, physical, verbal, property damage, theft.
Right.
And also striving to do the opposite to actually benefit people and animals too.
But how does this specifically relate to self-worth beyond just being ethical?
It's about having a clear conscience, knowing deep down that you are fundamentally a good person trying to do good.
Okay.
Any harm you cause others, the source says, will eventually trouble you, even if it's subconscious. It creates an internal dissonance.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, does the source acknowledge we all slip up sometimes?
It does. It notes we sometimes overlook things, maybe cut corners to protect our interests, often unconsciously, using rationalization.
So justify it to ourselves.
Yes, but the ideal, the person who consistently holds a high moral standard over time, becomes, well, the source uses the word pure. Meaning they achieve a deep, unwavering inner peace. And that peace is a bedrock for really solid self-worth.
Okay, rule 9 brings us to the body, physical well-being.
A very practical rule with 2 key aspects.
What's the first?
Simply put, neglecting your body, your health, your energy sends a message to yourself.
The message being?
That you're not worthy of care. That your physical vessel doesn't matter. It subtly undermines your sense of value.
And the second aspect?
It's the undeniable link between physiology and psychology. Mind and body aren't separate. When your body feels strong, healthy, energetic.
You feel better mentally.
Exactly. You naturally feel more joy, more happiness, more confidence. It raises an interesting point.
Which is?
Sometimes simple physical acts, standing tall, putting a genuine smile on your face, taking a few deep breaths, can impact your self-feeling more immediately than complex psychological work.
Our physical state really influences our self-perception.
Profoundly. Don't underestimate it.
Okay, rule 10 gets very internal. Self-compassion and self-love.
Yes, moving into how we relate to ourselves.
So compassion is wanting to ease suffering. Self-compassion, then, is being kind and gentle with your own flaws and failures.
Right. The source prompts you to ask, how do you treat yourself when you mess up? When you don't meet your own standards?
Ain't you harsh, full of guilt?
Or can you accept your own humanity with some understanding?
The source uses a powerful analogy here, doesn't it?
It does. It asks, how would you treat someone you truly admire if they made a mistake or fell short?
You'd probably be understanding, encouraging.
Likely, yes. You'd assume they did their best, they'll learn.
Yeah.
If they showed a weakness, you wouldn't mock them, right? You might even appreciate their honesty. What's really key here is the source's point. Beating yourself up with guilt and rigidity doesn't actually help you improve. Compassion does.
And this connects to self-love.
Directly. Love is wanting good for another, and it shows up in actions, not just feelings.
So self-love.
How you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself, pampering, caring. Yeah. If you admire someone, you enjoy giving to them, right?
Right.
So to build self-worth, the source advises treating yourself well. Allow rest, give yourself small gifts, enjoy things, and do it with genuine joy and love like you would for someone precious to you.
It also mentions Carl Rogers.
Yes, his concept of unconditional positive regard, basically radical acceptance without judgment.
Which is rare in the world.
Very rare. Rogers saw it as vital for kids' development, helping them connect to their true selves and believe in themselves.
And the source's point for adults.
The revelation is we don't need to wait for others to give us this. We can learn to give it to ourselves. through that self-compassion and self-love we were just discussing.
Connecting this to the bigger picture, it's important to clarify. This isn't about ditching self-improvement or accountability, is it?
Not at all. It's not about complacency. It's about letting go of the self-flagellation, the crippling guilt, the self-diminishing talk when you inevitably fall short sometimes. Be your own supportive coach, not your harshest critic.
Right. Okay, Rule 11 feels like a bit of a mindset shift. Appreciating the good in the world.
Yes, it's presented almost as a bonus rule, maybe for those who want another angle. It's about consciously focusing on the half-full glass.
Practicing gratitude.
Exactly. For the good things, big and small. Your health, your ability to see or hear, technology, connections, just being able to think and breathe. All the amazing things we often just take for granted.
And how does focusing outward like that help internal self-worth?
Well, the source cites research suggesting that practicing gratitude doesn't just make you happier. Over time, it actually helps you learn to appreciate the good and the beautiful within yourself, too.
Ah, interesting. It creates a positive feedback loop.
Precisely. External appreciation fosters internal appreciation.
Okay, finally, Rule 12. Understanding non-self and avoiding labeling. You mentioned this one is complex.
The source itself flags it as more complex, yes. It goes beyond just changing behaviors.
How so?
It involves a deep insight, a shift in how you perceive yourself altogether. The core idea is to start detaching your sense of worth from temporary labels.
Like job titles, social roles.
Even your own thoughts and feelings, which come and go. It suggests your fundamental value lies deeper than these shifting identities.
That sounds quite philosophical.
It is. And the source suggests that truly grasping and applying this insight might be more transformative for self-worth than all the other rules combined. But it acknowledges it's a deeper level of understanding.
Wow. Well, we've really journeyed through an incredible range of rules today, all aimed at elevating self-worth, drawing from that source material.
It's quite a comprehensive map, isn't it?
Absolutely. The depth of actionable wisdom in elevating self-worth is pretty remarkable, covering everything from daily actions to deep inner states.
And if we connect all these threads, what really stands out is this holistic view of self-worth. It's painted as something you cultivate internally.
Right, not something you get from outside approval or circumstances.
Exactly. These insights encourage a fundamental shift in how you relate to the world. Definitely, but maybe even more importantly, how you relate to yourself.
So, a final thought for you, the listener, to take away. As you reflect on these 12 rules we've unpacked, which one really resonates with you right now?
A great reflection question.
Yeah, what single, maybe small step could you take, even today, to start embodying just one of these principles? And just imagine, what difference might that single step make to your own sense of self-worth over time?